Go ahead.
Real quick, there's a program here in Baltimore. It's the chat program.
We ain't got there yet.
Oh, all right.
No, we did. I was about to come to y'all anyway, so let's keep it going.
It's real similar, right? It locks in the current assessed value of a property, and then once you rehab and fix it up, and the property value skyrockets, it provides a tax credit to pay the difference between what it was and what it is now, right? So say you assess a property at 10,000, you fix it up.
Right. Remember, 10,000, that's US dollars in Baltimore, but go ahead.
Say that the current assessed value of a vacant property, 10 grand, you fix it up, is worth 250 grand, right? This tax credit, as long as you rehab the house in a way that preserves its historic nature, will pay the difference between that $10,000 price and that $250,000 property tax. So you're still paying that $10,000 assessed value property tax across 10 years.
So they give you a tax abatement based off of the acquisition price, not the ARV.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah, it keeps your property taxes low for that 10-year period. And so in Baltimore, the taxes are actually relatively high. So you go from, we can buy like a shell property for 10 grand, and the taxes might be $100 a year. But when we renovate it, it could easily be up to $4 grand a year. And so keeping those taxes low helps keep the house affordable for first-time home buyers or whomever if you're selling. But if you keep it as a landlord or something like that, it also keeps your cash flow up because you're not paying as much in those taxes during that 10-year period. So it's similar. That's why I was asking, like no taxes or like bring it down. So in Baltimore, we can bring it down.
What's the name of that program?
Commission for Historic and Architectural Preservation.
So it's CHAP, chat.
Yep, CHAP.
YouTube earners, I hope y'all taking notes on this one, because I'm gonna have to come back on a replay and write all of this stuff down, because this is some powerful information. So let's talk to JoJo real quick, right? Let's talk about, you're in the Baltimore market, you're a realtor, you're working with a lot of first-time home buyers. What other programs are out there for the first-time home buyer that hasn't been impacted by COVID-19?
That has not been impacted. So we still have CDBG, which is the Community Block Development Grant. Kiera, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Community Block Development Grant, and that gives $5,000 towards the down payment. We have, and it's coming up really soon. I'll give you the date. I'm going to pull it up. The Live Baltimore Trolley Tour, which gives another $5,000 towards anybody purchasing in the city. Right now, we also have MMP, Maryland Mortgage Program, which gives between $5,000 and $7,500 towards first-time home buyers. But the big one that I'm so excited about right now, because MMP may or may not go away, we're still seeing how it's working. But we have the NHS Community Redevelopment. What is it? Wait, I'm losing it. What is it?
There's too many like acronyms right now. Like
yeah, but NHS has their program.
NHS has a program right now. It's called Project Reinvest. There's so many sometimes. Project Reinvest. And Project Reinvest is really good. They're giving like $10,000 if you buy in Baltimore City. So we have several programs. The only one right now that has been affected by COVID is MMP. And I don't want to go into details as of why, but that's the only one. But we have NHS giving you $10,000. You don't have to worry about the $5 grand so much. And a lot of them are stackable grants. So you can walk away with a check on the table because you can stack them.
So, all right. So the grants are stackable. We love stackable grants, right? Now, how hard or how difficult is it for someone to get approved for these grants? Like, what's the credit score requirement? Like, and I know some grants, especially, and I'm not sure if this is true for Baltimore, but cities where you have an influx of investors, the grants will require you to have residency, you know, for a certain amount of years prior to being able to approve for the grant. Is it the same thing in Baltimore with these grants?
Well, the credit score that I know is 640 for most of them. Most of them have an income limit. So I don't know CDBG's income limit offhand, but it's also based on how many people are in your household. So if it's a one-person household, I don't believe it's more than $70,000 a year. You said something about if you're living in the city. So all of these grants that we talked about, they are for your primary residency. You have to live in the home. You cannot be an investor. There are no grants for investors. There are no grants for investors. And then we also, what's really big in Baltimore, and I'm finding out it's not big in other cities, is that sellers give closing costs. So a lot of the offers I write, I always ask the sellers to give about 3% closing costs. That's the minimum. I mean, that's the minimum that I do. The maximum for FHA is about 6%. I don't see that as much, but I typically get about 3%, especially when I come in at the offer, at the asking.